anaconda. Yeah, that's about as big as it is.
There ain't nothing protected when you crash.
Should I whip it out and make the car cry?
You know that?
What's that?
There's not much to protect you when the thing flips.
No. You ever seen that, those movies? What do they call them? And they walked away. That's what these cars are. Nice. Well, there's some more down here. Huh?
Like the gun looks like to show up?
Oh yeah, it should. Wow. Go check out the ones over by the other side of the street. Double. They're showing me nothing but love. Pretty much.
So folks, can we have a big hand once more for the wonderful original team of Togo, Harper, Garton, and the incredible Nano dragster that has been worked on for quite a while by Rick McDonald. Rick is a pro air at Escondido, and Rick, you'll see him working on a lot of these cars and providing a lot of the expertise that's needed to keep a nitro burning top eliminator car running properly. Stand by down there, we're getting the Nanook out of the way, and then we'll be ready for you guys to start up. And this next pair is a wonderful combination. I believe we're talking, yes, Donnie, I think we're ready. And we're talking the Magic Car and the Barnstormer. What a beautiful sight this will be. So we have two cars that ran in 1965, and they're now about to start up the Barnstormer of TV Tommy Ivo and Jumpin' Jeep Hampshire's Magic Car. And some cash to buy some nitro, some gas money to get them to the next race. It was an amazing time in drag racing. So many different chassis builders, so many different approaches to speed. And now you're about to see two wonderful cars go down. Jay's car, the simple thing, Jay's car, which is such a beautiful representation of the best in the Woody Gilmore frame. And Jay Carpenter, who has built this motor, really has it tuned wonderfully. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous car, and we hope you will enjoy this fire up. And then there's the Bainey, Rossi, Goebel families. Back in the 60s, Lou Bainey and Vince Rossi, two big names in drag racing in Southern California, put their monies together and built the Yakel Plymouth Special, sponsored by Yakel Plymouth, which was a dealership in the LA area. And they raced hard racers, and their sons are now in charge of this beautiful piece of history. And believe it or not, they went all the way to Hawaii to find the Yakel Plymouth car, which was in extreme disrepair. And they brought it back to the U.S. and back to the States.
That's right. Tonight there was a car that nobody has seen since
carefully,
1969.
put it back together again, and now here it is. So it is the original Yakel Plymouth Special with the family of Amy, Rossi, and Goebel. And we have Jay Carpenter's wonderful representation of a Woody Gilmore chassis and a wonderful 392 Chrysler Hemi, running on nitromethane, both of them, and they're coming down here just like they did in the old days when they would fire up, being push started by these push vehicles. There's no starter on the car. They would be push started by these cars. They would come to about 30, 35 miles an hour, and then they would flip the ignition switch, and they would come to life, turn around, and make their pass. So this is an extremely rare sight, folks. And I don't know how much longer it can go the way the economy is, but these guys keep coming out. You gotta love it when you did it when you were in your 20s, and now these guys are in their 60s and 70s, and you're still working like 20-year-olds? Isn't that amazing to have a pastime that takes you back to when you were young? And I love it too. So, when you guys are ready, we'd love to have Jay's winning car and the Eagle Plymouth Special come to life and come before the crowd. Enjoy, folks. Doesn't happen very often on the streets, especially for free. Cars were built up, they spun up for oil pressure, they're now going to start them. Here we go. What a wonderful sight. But you just have to imagine what it would be like if they opened those throttles up full and launched with the front tires in the air, smoke coming off the tires for 8 seconds at nighttime at various tracks around the Southern California area and actually all over the United States. And at the end of that 8-second run, they popped their parachute to bring them to a stop and hope they didn't hurt the motor in the process. And it just was an amazing sight. So once again, a big round of applause for Jay Carpenter's car, Freddie Hayhurst, who built the car. Freddie did a great job, and the incredible team. This is back in the old days. It's kind of like it is right now. What would happen is the stock cars would be running on the drag strip, and they'd be going by, and all of a sudden the announcer would say,
I didn't realize you were David.
Oh, no, not
it's time to shut down the staging lanes.
And the other two left.
The top fuel dragsters are now moving out to the track. So the cars in the staging lanes would stop running, and you'd see these dark silhouettes push out onto the drag strip and go down to the far end and turn around to get ready to push down for their fire up, turn around, and then proceed to the starting line for their race. And it was so hard to know what car you were looking at until they really just came down upon you almost. And then you could see it was someone that you really liked. So here we go with our next pair. Isn't that wonderful, that variety that you see here? You see a small block Chevrolet in the far lane, or let's say the right side of the strip, that has every piece of equipment pulled off of it that you can imagine. It weighs it all weighs about 900 pounds. And then you have the Chrysler dragster that usually weighs in around 1,400 pounds. And the big Chrysler would usually be the one that was a little harder to get going. Getting a heavy dragster like a Chrysler powered dragster going just took a little longer than the very small block Chevy that was weighing in at around 900 pounds. And that was usually just enough for that Chevy to get to the finish line first. So the Schubert Herbert small block Chevy, Zane Schubert was the driver, the builder of the frame. And Doug Herbert was Chet Herbert, excuse me, was the preparer of the motor. And of course the Paradise Alley car, a beautifully prepared dragster, it does a great job of representing the shorter chassis of the mid-60s, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Then you have some other incredible cars that you'll be seeing here. Out front is Iron Horse with Sam Chastain, who's in charge of that car and owns it. The Iron Horse has been busy lately. Iron Horse was commissioned to do a commercial for Mercedes-Benz about a month ago. And they had it out making flames and smoke for a commercial that you may see on television in the not too distant future. And of course, the car that you see on the west side. Gorgeous can a race car be?
Let's stay down there, but my calves are killing me.
No, it's fine.
The Anaconda was, the body of the Anaconda was not built for aerodynamics, folks. They didn't put this thing in a wind tunnel to test it to see how aerodynamic it was. They built that body because they wanted it to be beautiful. The tail section is reminiscent of the tail fins of a Cadillac. The front end is a beautiful snake's head, and that's all hand-formed sheet aluminum by some of the great artists that existed in drag racing that were involved in the building of the bodies. And then you take that to a painter and say, this is a canvas, make me a beautiful painting. And you tell them what you want as far as lettering, and then they would go off on the car and you wouldn't believe what you'd get back. So it was pretty amazing. We had a problem with one of our push cars, so we're moving up a backup. It's the El Camino of Ron Johnson. It is moving into position, and we will soon be having our fire up. But I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that you have drag racing history here, folks. People that have so much history in drag racing, it's amazing. So when you have the opportunity, you see an elderly gentleman that seems to look like he knows what he's doing around here, go up and say, "Are you famous?" And they'll probably say yes. Then you can get their autograph. And you'll make their day, because you know what? A lot of these guys are up in years. So please do. imagine them coming up to the line for the final run of eliminations. They've been through 3 or 4 rounds, and they come up to the line, just these 2 dragsters, for the money, for top eliminator. And they've got to hope that their motors will hold together for the final run of the evening. And if they're lucky it does, and if they can make the finish line, they might be the winner. Pop the chute, maybe get a little oil on their face as a result of the oil coming up through the breathers on the valve covers. And maybe they feel a little vibration like something's coming apart on them. So they shut it down early. But a lot of these guys were so determined to win in the top eliminator class. So once again, folks, can we please have a wonderful applause for Sam Chastain and the Iron Horse. Sam, thank you for bringing that beautiful dragster and putting on that wonderful display of tackling for us. And the original driver of the trick car, Mr. Tommy, the Watchdog Allen. Tommy, where are you? Everybody, can we have a hand for Tommy Allen? Tommy spends a lot of time making his car run really well, and he frets over it. And we appreciate it because we wind up with a beautiful car, and to see him in the seat again after all these years. Beautiful sight. Bobby Hansen, you can really make those flames go up in the air, can't you, buddy? And of course, the Chisler on the far side has weed burner headers. Weed burner headers. They call that because when that car would run alongside the drag strip at the edge where the weeds were, they would catch the weeds on fire, and the car and the track and the people would have to shut down the track so they could put the fire out. That's why they were weed burners. Well, what you had was this example of the changeover in 1964. They discovered that Zoomy headers, they call them Zoomy headers, which are the headers that are on the... Okay, folks, here it comes. a monster of drag racing's past, came to life for you guys tonight. And I don't know about you, but I think it's about time to give a big round of applause to not only the syndicate, but all the other teams that are here tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause so they come back next year for Nitro Night. On behalf of all the teams, we appreciate you coming out and being a part of this special evening. We hope that you'll come back again. And here's Steve Waller to say a few words to this wonderful crowd.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to allow you in here in a few minutes when we get the car and the syndicate in place. You can walk through and talk with the drivers. And we appreciate everybody coming out. And again, our sponsors made all this possible. And next Friday night is our last cruise night until next year. So come on out with us next week and we'll have all the winners